Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people, and Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared. That's amazing, mate. Like, it's such a great, like, truly, that's such a great story. Like, because, you know, as you would know, like here in Australia at the moment, I'm sure it's everywhere in the, you know, around the world, but, you know, violence and gang membership and gangs running right in the street, and a lot of kids underage, you know, like under 16, mate. My youngest son, he got held up at knife point a while ago and had his phone taken off him. And I have been coming back to Australia. Like, I live overseas for a little bit, but I've spent a lot of time here. And the area I lived in for 35 years, I come back here and see other family members, and I nearly got I was having a real sleep in the car the other day, just a bit of a rest before I went to the gym. 7:30 in the morning, I woke up to someone cracking the windows on my car with these little things they get from China, and he was about to cave the window in, and I sort of woke up and looked at him, and his car's parked right beside mine with a balaclava on, and he took off, and there was another car down the end of the car park. They were ready to come and jack the car, mate. This is 7:30 in the morning in an area I've lived all my life nearly.
Wow. Yeah,
it's crazy, mate.
It's crazy. A few years ago, our second eldest son, he was 18 at the time. He got stabbed at a graduation party, and they were just that's Polytech, similar to university, and there was about a couple of hundred youth at this party. Well, this gang went in there, they gang crashed it, and because some kids were wearing different colour to this gang. And so what these guys were going, there's about 30 of them going through all these young teenagers and that, hitting them from behind, and they're giving them a hiding. Well, my son was around the back of this place building at a bonfire that they had in Chile, and one of my nieces ran around and says, these guys out the gangs out the front, blah, 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 and just gave one of my nephews a hiding, knocked him out. So my boy grabbed him and says, just stay around here, you'll be all right. But then this gang member came around and stepped all these young kids out, took his shirt off, covered in tattoos, big ugly tattoos on his face, and then one of my nephews jumped up, I'll have a go. And then he took off, and then my son was left there. Well, he jumped up and said, come on, son. And then this guy goes, I've been doing this all my life. This is what I do in jail, he does bare knuckle karate, whatever he thought he did. And my boy said, I don't give a rat's ass. And there's three of them there, and my son slapped one of them, who happened to be the prez of this gang. Slapped one of them. He said, I'll have you up, and gave the other one a backhand. Well, this guy jumped on him, but somebody yelled out, that's so-and-so's son. So they all jumped back, and then they said, no, sorry, mate, never mind. And he goes, don't worry about Mile, man. He's not here. And then they cracked on. My boy knocked him out, and another guy jumped in from the side, he knocked that one, and then the third guy, who was the president of this gang, stabbed him in the arm.
Wow.
So it took me 3 months to get him. I got him. Yeah.
Cowards, mate.
I went around to all the gang members' houses, knocking on their doors all hours of night and morning, beating them up and sending them back to where they came from. Not from my town, they were from all different parts of New Zealand. And then when I finally got this guy, he turned out to be my nephew.
What?
And then I went to school with his dad as we were kids. So, but I beat the Jesus out of him, and so we got around to. But yeah, not meaning to, not wanting to, but we've me and my sons have had a relationship with all the gangs, and then we sort of clean a few, and so people, when if they think you're crazy, they stay away from you. So I like it that way.
Right.
But my boys have a very
I get the thing is that people hear that and go, yeah, violence, but sometimes in a town when you're living in the jungle, you have to be part of the jungle, and you have to take care of business sometimes. And sometimes when you do that, some of those people that you might have had to give a little bit of a slap around, sometimes they can have a little change of mind and start thinking what they're up to. Not all of them, but sometimes you never know,
We got gang violence here is out where I come from. We get a lot of shootings and a lot of murders.
Wow.
Back in the early 90s, we were per capita, we were the third most violent city in the world, which I don't believe it. But they had a big protest here for about 9 months over Māori occupation on land, and this is what the media was throwing about our little community, and just making us look even worse than what we were. The Māori community got their way, but as far as saying that we were the per capita third most violent, and they're talking about drownings, shootings, stabbings. We have 38 gangs, all across the board. Didn't make us look very well. I had the opportunity of being on our local council. I've been on the board of trustees at one of our colleges. I was put on there by my auntie and put in the disciplinary board, and a lot of we'd have meetings once a week with these youth at risk disciplinary board, and 90% of them were my nephews and nieces. So I had to decline. I had to come off there because
Wow,
I couldn't sit there and be judgmental on my own family, so I had to withdraw from being on the disciplinary board. But,
and it's tough, like a lot of people don't understand because they don't live in that world, and of course they don't want to. But when you're in that like you just call it, that jungle, it doesn't mean that the people living in the town are like that. It just brings that culture up with a lot of the young kids in the gangs, and they feel they have to be in gangs to protect themselves. And
we have a beautiful community. We have a beautiful town. Unfortunately, we have a jail on the outskirts, and then guys, when they get sentenced from different parts of New Zealand, they'll do the main bulk of their sentence and jails like Mount Eden, Parimariamo, and other jails outside of Whanganui. But when they're on the last 8 months to 18 months of their lag, they bring them here to where we are, and just get them back into maybe work release or something like that. So when they get out of jail, they've already got a feeling for where we are, and then because the guy they were in jail with for the last year or so, he was released in our community too, so he hasn't moved on, because what happens, their families and children move to town to be closer to their loved ones in jail. So the government puts them up in the government home, and they're on the dole social welfare benefit, and so they've established themselves in the last 12 months. So when the woman's partner to get out, they don't want to go back to the town that they committed the crime, because of all the guilt and the shame, and of course, so they settle here, and that's why our town has become violent over the years, because we're just full of all sorts, pedophiles, murderers and shit like that, and then
wow.
So over the years, I've been sort of quietly policing. I train the police. I train our community police. We had a
Oh, wow.
tournament. Yeah, and I've got a good relation. And I think it was about 10 years ago. I think it was the best thing I ever did when they came to me and asked them to train them for a tournament that they had. And I took on 14 police officers, all ranks. And when it came to the fight night, the New Zealand Police Commissioner was going to call it off because he didn't have faith in the members of the police force. He thought they were going to get be in public, get in hiding, and I promised them that they wouldn't. So we won 9 out of 10 fights.
Well, that's great.
So he gave me a big rap and said if I need anything, to come and see him, and then. Well,
isn't that amazing, mate? Because we got to wrap this up now, but we want to come back to you again later in a couple of months. But isn't that funny how now you're getting a rap from the police commissioner, whereas the only rap you got years ago was around the back of the head or the knuckles when they chucked you in the cell, mate?
Well, they obviously needed a hand because over the years I've played with a few of them, and then of course I got locked up. But yeah. And it was the best thing I ever did. I said it to my wife, everything. The best thing I ever did because to them it's a job, and it made me look differently. But it was just some of the police that I encountered when I was younger. Instead of being nice to me, they just, "Hey, stop there," and I stop and say, "Hey, go, mate." And then they just smack my head on the bottom of the car and rip my arms up behind my back, and what's going on? And so after a few times of them cops pulling up on me, I just start throwing at them straight away, and bang, I'm down the road running.
Yeah. and now you're running towards them, helping them deal with. So that's a really cool story, mate.
I get a lot of military coming, SAS, and they come in and train with me and that. So it's changed my whole life for the best, I believe. My wife and I we own a number of properties and everything now, so I'm on a good path.
Oh, that's great, mate. That's such a good story. Look, we do have to go, but that's such a look, okay, there's a little bit of stories in there about violence, but it's things that you did in that jungle to help protect your family, and now you're on the other end of it, and the police have a lot of respect for you, and now you're helping them and military guys do their job better, and I think it's just a great story, mate.
Especially when your family's involved, and you don't want to see your kids getting hurt by nobody.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So man, if you're not going to go out there and help out, and I think the real gangster is somebody that's out there getting a job, making his way, looking after his family and children, feeding them, and that's the real gangster. You don't need petrol, try and prove anything. I've never ever been in the gang in my life.
So true.
Never ever been in the gang.
Good on you, mate. Like it's thanks for that. It's such a great story, and look, sorry, Doug, you didn't get much opportunity there, but you will next time round. We haven't spoken for a long time, but I'm glad you organised it, Doug, to get my friend on here and share his story. So thanks, mate, and I will keep in touch with you. And Doug, thanks for organising this, and you can take us out. And I really applaud you for sharing your story, mate. All the good and the bad side as well.
You're welcome, bro.
Yep. So everybody, I'd like to thank Andy for the terrific mentorship that led to the creation of RNU. I want to thank Pete for appearing on the channel, and we'll see you next week for the next episode.